Joining us in the studio tonight is none other than the captain of Gilas-Pilipinas, the Mighty Mouse himself, Jimmy Alapag. Good evening. Oh, Captain, my captain.
How you guys doing? Thank you for having me.
Well,
thank you for joining us tonight. I mean, as you could tell when you arrived, everybody couldn't wait to see you.
Even the dog.
Yeah, see,
Even
there was a dog waiting for you in the studio.
That was very cool.
Okay, well, Jimmy, before you guys left, you were there the whole journey, the whole Korea curse, the whole breaking the Korea curse and making it to the FIBA World Cup, and now you're back. You have a win. You have a win against Senegal. You know how people hear about how much Filipinos love basketball, but you showed the world how much Filipinos love basketball.
Spain was an incredible experience. I think we opened the world's eyes again after 36, 40 years to our country and to Philippine basketball. And that to me is just as important as the win against Senegal, because we love the game so much here in our country, and to allow the world to see how passionate we are about the game and to see that we can play. And we might not be as tall or as athletic as the other teams throughout the world, but our style of play can compete with anybody.
Could you name, Jimmy, like a specific moment or a specific instance which just blew you away? You said that Spain was an amazing experience. Can you name one instance when you look back and it just makes you shake your head and say, wow, I went through that?
I think our first game against Croatia. I know Coach Chad has mentioned it. We first arrived at the hotel and we were waiting for the elevator, and it's just Coach Chad and I just kind of looked at him and said, Coach, we're here. Because, we'd waited so long, especially Coach Chad and I have been together for a long time on the national team. And so to finally be at that moment was special. But when we played that first game against Croatia, and to hear our national anthem for the world to hear, and to see mighty Croatia standing across from us, that was really the first moment where I said, here we go. And it's going to be all for the world to see the way the Philippines plays basketball.
Since not a lot of people have seen the Philippines on the world stage, the team was a little underestimated in the sense that when they were giving out the odds, again, I mentioned this to Ranidel and Jeff, that it was plus 23 against Croatia. Did I tell you that?
No.
Oh no, I told Gabe that. Anyway,
okay.
I texted Gabe that. When you shock the world in that sense, when you go up against a powerhouse team like Croatia, and everyone's expecting the Philippines to just sit back and watch them get steamrolled over, and then you give us such an amazing game that goes into overtime, what does that do for the ego of the team, for the morale, for you guys, basically?
Well, I think, when we started the game, we got off to a really slow start. I think that was nerves. I think it was excitement. I think we fell behind 19 or 20 to 4, and I remember Coach called timeout, and we all kind of huddled together and said, we just have to relax. We know this is Croatia. We know this is one of the top 10, 15 team in the world, but we still have a long way to go, and it's a long game. And so from that point on, we really settled into the game, and guys kind of maybe took a deep breath and just kind of, savored the moment. We had waited so long to be on the world stage, and I think once we did that, Croatia knew that they were in for a ball game. So
did you see the fear and confusion on their faces, though?
Oh, absolutely. I think Croatia's a very tall team. I think their average height is probably 6'7" or 6'8". So having to chase us around, is something that they didn't want to do. But again, as the game wore on, and us being patient with our offense and trying to speed up the game as much as possible, created some problems for them. So it was a good thing.
Okay, what about the momentous game against Argentina? I mean, Argentina, one of the legendary international teams. Luis Scola is there, Pablo Prigioni is there. I mean, how do you make sure you guys do not get caught in the moment? You're not starstruck with all these NBA guys.
I told the team before we got there, I really didn't get the sense from anybody that they respected us or that they felt we deserved to be there, which we did. And I told them I told the team that the only way we can get respect that we deserve and show people that we belong here is to go out there and compete. Because again, plus 23 against Croatia. I'm sure it was worse against Argentina, but I think just having that mindset that we're going to go out there and get the respect that we deserve, and I think everybody kind of took that approach. And once the ball got thrown up, we're going to go out there and play and try to bring our A game.
Let's talk about the Puerto Rico game, which is probably if I may say, that was probably the biggest heartache, in the sense that if you knew that if you didn't win that, then you wouldn't go on to the next round.
Mm-hmm.
But we could have taken Puerto Rico. We had that game, but what happened in that on that night?
I think the game against Puerto Rico kind of, fell into the same pattern that we fell into the first 3 games, where we're battling the whole game, games going back and forth, had the lead, fell down, got back up, and it was just kind of a nip and tuck game the whole time. But again, come the end game, Brea, I think we were up 3, he comes in, hits a big 3, we call timeout, I think we missed out of the timeout, he went back to the basket, scored another basket, and those 2 or 3 plays seemed to kind of be our downfall throughout the tournament. So it was tough to lose that game, but again, I don't think guys' confidence lowered any, because we knew we were right there, and we knew we were competing against the top teams in the world, and really giving ourselves a chance to win.
That game hurt because
It did.
Because Barea did a Jimmy Alapag. He did his best impression.
He did a Jimmy.
Yeah, he did his best impression of Jimmy Alapag. I would imagine you had the go signal all throughout the tournament, take the big shots. As you said, you've been working with Coach Shot for the longest time. He knows you, you know him. When you have that ball, is there any question whatsoever with when you decide to take a 3-point shot during the end of games? Was this by design, or it's just purely Jimmy Alapag instinct?
I'm lucky with Coach Shot. He has a lot of confidence in me to just let me go out there and run the team and make whatever plays necessary for us to win. When it comes to taking shots, I really pride myself on my work ethic, and it's something that I've carried with me a long time ago when I first started playing the game of basketball, and just understanding that I'm going to have to work harder than everybody else. I'm not going to walk into a room and they're going to see some 6'8", 250-pound specimen. Instead, they're going to get 5'9", 170 on a good day, walk into the room. And so when I take those shots in the end game, I just don't want to hesitate, and I really want to lean on all those hours in the gym, repeatedly practicing those same shots. And once the game comes, it's very natural, and I'm not conscious of the crowd, I'm not conscious of the pressure, I'm just conscious of how much time I have left to make sure that I shoot it before the time runs out.
All right, thanks, Jimmy. More of Jimmy Alapag when we return. This is Sports Desk. Keep it here.
We still have Jimmy Alapag, the captain of Gilas-Pilipinas, here with us in the studio. And might as well ask him what we were discussing during the break. Every time they play the Philippine national anthem before each and every game, it seemed to be an emotional experience for you and the rest of the team.
Absolutely. I think, again, we'd waited so long to be on the world stage, for the World Championship. So to hear our national anthem again, not just for everyone in Seville to hear it, but the whole world to hear it. I think it was a very special moment for our country and for Philippine basketball.
Let's talk about the win against Senegal. Again, you guys already knew you wouldn't make it to the next round, but still you didn't let it dampen your spirits, and you still went out and fought, and you actually won. Mm-hmm. Describe that moment in the game.
The game against Senegal, we all felt bad about what happened against Puerto Rico, because we knew if we didn't beat Puerto Rico, we had no chance of going to the second round. But that night at the hotel, thinking about our last game, I felt like everyone here at home in the Philippines, all of our kababayan who were watching online or online streaming it, people in Sevilla, the guys on the team, the coaches, I just felt like we deserved to leave Spain with a win, and that was my whole mindset going into that game. And Coach told us before the game, think about why we're here. Think about your families and think about your kids, and remember this moment, because who knows? There's no guarantee when you'll ever be able to return to that type of tournament on the world stage. So I had to kind of keep my emotions in check, because at the time I thought it was my last game. We'll get to that later.
Yes, we are.
But it was a very, very special moment, you know, against a team like Senegal, who was the most athletic and probably the biggest team in our group. And, you know, we got ourselves into that same position again, whereas the end game could go either way, but we finally made those plays that if we would have against Puerto Rico, against Argentina, against Croatia, we'd be in Madrid and probably would have played Spain in the second round. So.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up you thought that was your last game.
Things change.
I remember telling you previously that it was not.
Yes, you did.
But anyway, were you aware of how impressed foreign media was with how the Philippines was playing?
I got the sense of that from the foreign media when Coach Schott and I did a couple of the post-game interviews, and to see how proud they were and how surprised they were of how well we were playing, how much we were fighting and competing against these top teams in the world. Again, when we got to Seville, I don't think too many people gave us a chance or expected anything. Like you said, you know, we're plus 23 against Croatia, and I'm sure as the tournament progressed, it was probably a lot higher. But you know, they were really impressed. They were impressed by our style of play. They were impressed by how relentless and how much heart we played with, and that's really what our team and Philippine basketball and our country is built on. I think Filipinos in general, it's in our DNA to fight and to fight with all of our heart and to be on the world stage and to let the whole world see that. You know, it was pretty special.
What's also really special is the fact that when I posted on Twitter a while ago that you were guesting on the show, a Spanish journalist actually tweeted me asking for the live stream link. And then when I followed him, he sent me a direct message saying that he wrote something about you guys.
Yes.
If I may quote him, this is Sergio Garcia Ronas. I was talking with Captain Alapag. I tried to convince him to stay with the team. He was the best point guard of all that played in Seville. I tried, but I'm not sure if the dream will come true. Sergio, your dream has come true. He's not done playing yet. When you hear words like that from someone from another country who is a certified basketball fan, who watched every single game in the FIBA World Cup, and he calls you the best point guard in Seville, how does that make you feel?
It's, you know, it's humbling, especially for me at this point in my career, being a lot closer to the end than I am from the start. But it is, you know, to play on the world stage is something that I dreamed about ever since I was a kid, and to have that type of opportunity, not just playing in the World Cup, but playing for your country, you know, that's really what this game is all about. And, you know, all those hours that I spent in the gym as a little kid were for that moment to be in Sevilla. So, you know, to hear comments like that, it's, you know, it's without a doubt very humbling, and you know, I appreciate, you know, that type of stuff, to know that other fans of basketball from other countries appreciate not just how I play, but I think how our team plays.
You know, why wouldn't foreign writers, fans from other countries, why wouldn't they be impressed in that Senegal game? How poetic was it? Jimmy was the guy who closed out the game for us, hitting those crucial free throws. That must have been very emotional. That the last 2 minutes of that game, and you were on the free throw line, and at that time you thought that was your last game for Gilas. So I mean, what kept you from like tearing up right there in the game?
Well, to be honest, you know, when Coach talked to the team before the game, I had to excuse myself from the team just for a few seconds, because it was an emotional time for me, because my experience and my time with the national team has been unbelievable. I mean, the whole journey from the beginning back in 2002 when I was playing for Selecta and got hurt, and it was a disaster. And to have it come full circle and to be at the World Cup, you know, it meant a lot. And you know, Coach saying, you know, remember, you know, your family. So I thought about my parents and my brothers and sisters and my son and my wife, and you know, it was an emotional time. And going to that game, I wanted to win that game so bad for all of us, because I really felt that we deserved it. So to leave Spain with a win, it felt really good.
Okay, well, again, we just found out on through Twitter that Coach Schott, well, he announced that you said you're in. What made you decide to come back to the team?
Well, my initial plan before the World Cup training even started, I told Coach that, Spain would be my last tournament because next year's FIBA Asia, the Olympic qualifier, the last or probably the only big tournament before FIBA Asia is the Asian Games. And again, I'm very realistic about myself, my career, and what the Gilas program is trying to do. So I told Coach, it might be a good time to bring in some of the younger players to get that experience so that when they do play in FIBA Asia 2015, it's not something that all of a sudden they've never experienced before and they've never been there. So the plan was for me to be done in Seville, to add more guys, and then that team would build their own chemistry, their own camaraderie leading up to next year's FIBA Asia. But again, we didn't anticipate the eligibility issues with Andre. Jason, Paul, and some other guys had injuries and so forth. So when Coach sat me down and said, "Hey, we might have to reconsider, that retirement," I really listened to him with open ears, and I understand the short amount of time from the World Cup to the Asian Games, and so I just told him I'm in.
Well, Magic Johnson returned. Michael Jordan returned. Why can't Jimmy?
On a smaller scale.
Why can't Jimmy?
Okay, well, Jimmy, let's talk about the upcoming Asian Games. Of course, we have to bring in Marcus Stout again. When you have a team that has performed the way it did in the FIBA World Cup, and then you change one integral part to Marcus, who has also played with you guys in FIBA Asia, how does that affect the chemistry once again?
I think actually the transition won't be as bad as it normally would be if, say, you had Andre and then just get a completely new player, because all of us have played with Marcus. And I think for Marcus's case, one, he's been practicing with us even when we're in Spain, so he's been with the team and really supporting the guys and really being a big help to Andre during training camp and during the tune-up games leading up to Seville. So having Marcus back, I think, there's a little sense of unfinished business for him. Knowing what happened here during FIBA Asia and his calf injury, he's still in great shape. So I think from now until we leave for Korea, it's just kind of tying up loose ends and getting back to that chemistry we had with Marcus last year.
What should fans expect? Should fans have a different set of expectations after seeing what you guys did in Spain? Should they expect even more wins? Should they expect the team to go all the way over in the Asian Games?
I think the fans can expect us to be very competitive. It's hard to say we're going to win bronze or silver or gold because in this region there's still a lot of tough teams. You still have China, you still have host Korea, who I know they didn't forget about last year. You have all the Middle Eastern teams, Iran, Jordan. So we're still going to have our hands full. But I think it's just important for us to sustain whatever momentum we have from Spain, bringing in Marcus, and really just refocusing on the job ahead, which is getting ready for the Asian Games.
Earlier, we asked you to send us your questions for Gilas captain Jimmy Alapag, and here are some replies we got via Twitter. From Jennifer Baltar, for him, what is the greatest achievement of his career and how many more years will he play for Talk and Text?
Put me on the spot right away.
It's not our question, it's a viewer question.
Greatest achievement? That's tough, but I'd have to say, the Korea game last year and definitely the Senegal game, just because the Korea game put us back on the world stage, and the Senegal game let the world know that we're here. And hopefully for the future that we won't have to wait another 30 plus or 40 years to be back to that level of basketball.
You're going to make her cry again.
Again, yeah.
I can feel it. From Miguel Iriarte, why are you so clutch in crucial games? Why?
Yeah, Jimmy, why?
Why?
Well, thank you, first of all. But again, it's just practice. I'm in the gym all the time, and I put myself in those moments where it's the end of the game, and then we need a winning play. It might not just be the winning shot, but the winning pass or whatever it might be. But it's just the hours in the gym, so that, putting myself in that moment in the gym by myself prepares me for when I'm actually there against Korea or against Senegal to try to come through for the team.
From Ramon C, any specific tips or drills to improve handles, especially to counter full court presses? Wow, you're technical.
Practical question.
I think my best advice would be just, to practice. The best way to get comfortable with ball handling is just to handle the ball all the time and just do different drills that you see most basketball players do and do it every day to where it gets to become second nature. So.
From Alvin, Louis, modesty aside, where do you rank yourself among Filipino point guards of all time? That's a tough question.
It's funny. I've never tried to put myself at 10, 5, or whatever. I really let the fans and people who watch the game decide for themselves. I actually checked my Facebook and I had a really, really nice message from Ricardo Brown. He left me an unbelievable message just saying, how thankful he was and how much he appreciated my effort and the team's effort in the World Cup. And for him to be the first Phil-Am to ever come to the Philippines and to see how much success he had, it really meant a lot to hear from him and to hear those words.
All right, start crying. From Aaron Villarreal, was Barea hard to guard?
Absolutely. Barea's me, LA, and Jason's size, but he probably outweighed us by about 30, 40 pounds. He's a really strong guy, and there's no doubt why he's an NBA player, as you could see when they played us.
From Lou, Prigioni was a 36-year-old rookie for the Knicks last year. If an offer comes up, think you'd be up for it? I guess like an offer to play in the NBA.
Oh, without a doubt. Again, I don't know how many NBA teams are looking for 36-year-old under 6 foot point guards, but at the same time, if ever the opportunity was to come up, I'd definitely be honored to get to the NBA for a little bit.
All right. From Edmund Baduya, name the top 5 Pinoy point guards you played against.
Oh man, 5. There's too many names.
First 5 that comes to mind.
Johnny Abrientos, Olsen Rosella, Ronnie Magsano, JJ Helterbrand. Another one, Mike Cortez, Willie Miller.
Okay.
The list goes on.
Yeah.
From Ran Igop, the 3 best or memorable shots you made while playing for the national team.
Most memorable shots, without a doubt, the Korea game.
Yep.
And the game against Argentina. Making those first 2, and then they called timeout, and I got free for another one out of the timeout, and that was kind of like the heat check moment where I'm like, we got a chance to beat these guys if these shots keep falling. So definitely those 2 games and the shots I made in those were probably some of the most memorable for me.
All right. From J. Mar Cabrera, any tips or advice to our future national players? Good luck sa Asian Games. #Puso.
Well, thank you. My advice for any of the future national team players would just be, it's an honor. It really is, and I can't put into words what it feels like to play for our national team. I think as a basketball player, you really just have to experience it for yourself to see the amount of support that we get here at home, traveling abroad, and all the Kababayans who come out to watch us and support us. When we were in Spain, we had our Kababayans driving 2, 3, 4 hours in a bus to come and support us, and that type of support means everything, and it only inspires us more to go out there and play the type of way that they can be proud of. And so for any of the future national team guys, I would just tell them to work hard and know that you're wearing the flag on your chest, and to go out there and really just enjoy the experience, because it's something that's once in a career.
All right. Before we let you go, I just have to ask Jimmy. Stellar career in the PBA, several championships, multiple awards, beautiful wife who is also your craziest #1 fan.
Thank you, thanks.
Beautiful growing family, and my goodness, you've brought the Philippines back to the world stage. Is there anything else that Jimmy Alapag wants in life? I
think there's always more. I think, you know, for myself career-wise, it's just to continue to try to conquer mountains that are ahead of us. I think, you know, I've been blessed and fortunate enough to have had a lot of success in the PBA and internationally. But, you know, there's always more. You know, from starting with talking text and then fast forwarding the 12 years and the championships that we've, you know, been able to win. With Gilas, again, you know, from what happened in 2002 to what happened in 2007 in Japan with the disaster in Tokushima. You know, they were all building blocks, and it just seemed like there were always mountains left for us to conquer. And we conquered one last year here at home against Korea. We go to Spain, and we conquer another mountain by winning a game on the world stage, and again reintroducing ourselves to the world, you know, with Philippine basketball. And I think, you know, the next step is to continue, you know, with the Asian Games coming up. I know it's been, I think, 50 years since we've medaled or won a gold medal. The Olympics, the Olympic qualifier next year, and, you know, again, from a personal side, you know, now that I'm a father, and then try to be the best dad and the best husband, and, you know, the best son that I could be for my parents and my family. And so, you know, it's just a part of life, I guess. Life continues to progress, whether it be professionally or personally, and try to go and live this life the best way we can.
All right, message to every single Filipino fan out there.
To all of the Filipino fans, both here at home and everyone who's been supporting us all over the world, thank you. And, you know, we appreciate all the love, the support, the prayers, and we're going to continue to need them as we get ready for Korea. And from a personal standpoint, I've been completely overwhelmed and humbled by all the support to have me play one last time in Korea. So thank you again to everybody, and thank you guys for having me.
All right, thank you, Jimmy.
Who wants to see Jimmy play, like, you know, more? I want to see Jimmy play for 20 more years. Jimmy in the Olympic Games. I want to see Jimmy in the Olympic Games.
His wife wants him to play till he's 50.
I want to
Yes,
see Jimmy.
yes, she does.
Jimmy Olympic.
I'm gonna put that on record.
Everyone's raising their hands.
My
Jimmy.
wife would like me to play till I'm 50.
They don't want to see you go. Thank you, Jimmy.
you, Jimmy.
And that is all for tonight. Log on to our website, www.sportsdesk.ph. Follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. For everyone at Sports Desk, I'm Miko Hadid.
And I'm Cheska Litton. Before we go, we leave you the quote from Jimmy Alapag, who once said, "It's amazing how we can impact people's lives simply through the game of basketball."